Ocean Pines is a vibrant residential community nestled on Maryland's eastern shore. With over 9 miles of waterfront property, amenities like an 18-hole championship golf course and a public yacht club, and a rich history dating back to 1968. Of course, if you live here, you probably know most of that. And if you don't, it's almost all apparent from your first visit. Each week on the Pines Cast, we work to bring out the ocean pines that might be less apparent. We celebrate the region, the amenities, and, most of all, the people who make and keep Ocean Pines a special place to live. Welcome to the Pines Cast, your source of news and insights about Ocean Pines and the official podcast of the Ocean Pines Association. This week, we are speaking with Katie Getzinger and Kevin Powell of the Ocean Pines Recreation Department. They're going to take us through not only all the cool stuff that's coming up this summer, and there is so much cool stuff coming up this summer, they're also going to talk to you about what's coming up for the rest of the year, some of their big plans and what it takes to make them happen. So this is going to be a great show to listen to. And as a matter of fact, there's no reason to keep you from it. So let's get into it right now with Katie and Kevin. All right, so we don't often have two guests at the same time, and although it's unlikely that people won't be able to recognize your voices, I'm going to ask you to each introduce yourself so people can get a sense. If we can start with Katie.
I'm Katie Getzinger.
I'm Kevin Powell.
Excellent, and you guys are with the Recreation Department, right?
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
Excellent. Well, let's start with the easy question first. I know that Katie lives in Ocean Pines, so Katie, how did you come to live in Ocean Pines, and then how did you come to get the job?
When I was in college at UMES, I was a summer camp counselor for a summer camp for recreation and parks. So when my husband and I were deciding where to live, I brought him back to the shore with me, and we found a house in Ocean Pines. And I reached out to our old director and said, "Do you have any jobs open?" And she happened to have this position open as part-time, so I started then.
And I'm sorry, are you still part-time, or
No, I'm full-time now. Been full-time for 12 years.
And so what was that like to make the transition, and who was the boss when you started?
Her name was Sonia Bounds.
What drew you to the position, and what did you like about it when it first started? And when you went from part-time to full-time, what was the decision and the working behind that?
I just had to do more hours, took on more programs.
Cool. And do you have an official title or you're just with the Recreation Department?
Recreation Program Supervisor.
So when Debbie figures out the program, she hands them to you and she says, "Make this happen"?
That happens, and also we're tasked to come up with programs ourselves.
Is there anything that you came up with that you'd like to talk about that you're particularly proud of over the last 12 years?
Oh, wow. I'm proud of everything I do for our department. We try to put on a good variety of bus trips to different sporting events. It's all exciting. Our department has a lot of fun. The
flower show, right? Did that just happen? Is that going to happen?
The flower show did just happen. We also just took a trip to New York City for the spring, which typically, and we will do it again, we take it in the wintertime for the Christmas atmosphere. But this year was our first year taking a trip to New York City in the springtime, and it was a good trip.
Excellent. And for our listeners in the future, we are recording this toward the end of May. This will be out toward the end of June. And how about you, Kevin? What drew you to Ocean Pines, and how did you get the gig?
That's a long, convoluted story. I wasn't teaching. I was a PE teacher for about 20 years, and I ended up, for personal reasons, getting out of education. I'm pretty good friends with somebody that works there part-time that used to be full-time. Her name's Kathy McDaniel. She teaches over at Stephen Decatur Middle School. And she knew I was looking for something different to get out of education. And she told me that there wasn't actually an opening, that one of the people that recently left, Kyle Jarman, he's not Worcester County Rec. So just had the connection with Kathy, and actually knew Debbie Donahue because I worked as a camp counselor in Ocean Pines back in the late 90s. Well, she had actually worked in the department, but she wasn't the supervisor back then. But she remembered me from back then. And it was just a good fit, good hire, and just something I really wanted to do as a transition out of education.
What are some of the things you like most about the job?
It pretty much everything. I mean, obviously there's difficulties in every job. T-ball, I'll say that. I'm doing the T-ball program right now, and it's just fun as a former educator to get to work with a group of kids and work on something that I love in the sport of baseball.
That was my old program that I handed off to him when he started because I knew he loved baseball. So I was like, okay, I have T-ball. I've had it for enough seasons.
Yeah, we share some programs, but that was definitely a good gift from her to be able to do that because she knows I love teaching. I run the youth basketball league. I run most of the sports leagues because they're after hours as well. The adult basketball, the youth basketball, the adult softball. I also do some other programs as well, but it's just a fun transition from education and get to do some things that I enjoy.
And so you've been there a little bit more than a year now. What was a tough lesson you learned, and what was a tough lesson that you were glad to not have to learn, I think?
Tough lesson to learn. It's a different aspect of running a league. I know I've done a lot of coaching in my time, and obviously with teaching, I've done some coaching, but actually running a sports league, you learn some different sides of things. So that's been tough. I can't really think of a tough lesson I haven't had to learn.
You didn't dodge any bullets. All the bullets hit home.
I mean, there's always ups and downs and been on a daily basis and everything. But I mean, I don't think there's been everything that difficult that I couldn't handle that by myself, or even sometimes with Katie's help and Debbie's help in the job.
That's excellent. One of the things that's always interesting about, seasonal programming is that you're doing today and planning next year. You're kind of straddling the present and the future constantly. So how do you guys manage that? And what are some of the things that you're working on for, I don't know, let's say the fall or next spring, or how far into the future do you find that you work?
Sure. So I'll be ordering Christmas trees for our winter programs in August. Every year I put in my order in August, and sometimes you'll come in my office and I'll have 3 different holidays going on at once. So, yeah, we usually like to plan the events at least 3 months in advance to get it all situated and scheduled.
And it's big and unwieldy now, right?
About unwieldy, but I'll kind of segue a little bit. I know we have our fall guide coming out soon. So by July 7th, I believe, if not sooner, we're going to have all of our information ready for all of our fall and winter programs to put in our guide that we send out. So that's an everyday process as far as making sure that the programs that already exist versus the new programs we're going to add, so everything's up to date, so that Nancy can take care of her part and help us out as well. So it's a big machine.
Yeah, also planning our events, we have to go around Ocean City's schedule. So depending on if it's bike week, hot rod week, or whatever visitor we have in town, we like to make sure that we're not planning one of our important dates or events on a certain date that could conflict.
Because you don't want to make people have to choose, because a lot of times they come down for, like, if someone's coming for bike week, they're not going to want to go to I don't know, an animal show.
Sure.
And what are some of the really big events that take the most planning from each of you? For each of you, maybe tell me the 2 things that take the most planning each year.
The most planning would probably be our haunted house, which we hold every October for 2 weekends, and probably the 4th of July.
Well, let's talk about the haunted house, because that's fascinating. How long have you guys been doing that, and what's entailed in it?
This last year was our 4th year doing it, and it shuts down our programs for a couple weeks just so that we can get the building decorated. Although this year we're moving it outside. We're getting a new floor actually put in the gymnasium currently. So we're not going to hold the haunted house in there this year, but we will still have the plan to hold it outside this year. That
is going to be a bear. I guess you've already kind of started chatting about it. But let's talk about last year's, only because it already happened. And, what goes into the planning, setting out the routes and things like that. And do you know where you're going to put it this year?
Sure. We have an awesome team of volunteers that have been volunteering to design the haunted house the past 4 years. Christy, Timmy, Brooks, shout out to them and their families, because it really is a family event. My daughter included is one of the actors in the haunted house, and she has been for the past 4 years. But they have a map of the building. They come up with a theme, and then each of the rooms in our building was themed out. One room was a porch, a sale asylum. One room was a cornfield. It took a lot of work.
What was the decision to start having a haunted house for Halloween like?
I think it was Debbie's idea originally.
I'm going to defer to Debbie. She's that was kind of her baby, and we just support at that point. But yeah.
Yeah, it was Debbie's idea originally. Hey, we should do a haunted house, and then we just it snowballed.
Snowballed is right, because it takes up the whole gym and everything.
Oh, it does. It takes up our whole building for about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, because setup and cleanup, included in that time.
And do you have any inkling about what this year's will have to look like? Are you doing it in Whitehorse Park, or where do you think that you'll have it? And what?
Yeah, we're going to hold it in Whitehorse Park, and it's going to head towards the boat ramp, so further into the park.
That is so cool. Well, make sure you ring my bell, because I'd love to have you back, even if it's just briefly, to talk about, the planning for that once it gets started, because that sounds like a really, really exciting event.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's a good time.
And how about you, Kevin? Is there anything that's a big project that you have to work on, a lot during the year? I know that you're still newish, so.
Yeah, I'm still kind of a noob, but I think my biggest project would probably be the July 4th 5K. I know that July 4th is one big long day, but the 5K is one of my biggest things. I have to take care of a lot of planning, getting the route ready, making sure we have people that are going to help with volunteers to do the water table and everything. There's so many little pieces that have to come together. So that's probably my biggest single event.
So when you say planning the route, you keep it within Ocean Pines, I assume?
Yeah, we do trails and road running, and it's just trying not to keep it the same every year. So, if the people come back year after year, they're not going to do the same old run every year. So we try to vary a little bit. So this year we're going to go the trail by Route 90 for a little while. Then we'll hit back to offshore, then back to Parkway, back to the Southgate Pond to finish up.
And what was it like the first time you had to plan it? Had you planned 5Ks before, or did you have to learn the hard way? How did that go?
Yeah, I guess that kind of reverts back to your first question. So that's a bullet I didn't dodge, because I came in and had never done a 5K. And while it's not hard, there are so many little intricate details that go into the planning of it and preparing it and making sure. And I did learn some things, and I kept a lot of notes from last year. So hopefully I can avoid those pitfalls and make it a better event this year.
Can you tell me one pitfall? I mean, I guess having to come up with a new route every time can get old quick, huh?
Yeah, because there's only so many things you can do, and it's something you can come back and do. The route we did last year, maybe we'll come back and do it 2 years from now, kind of thing. I didn't consider a couple little things like where to put the water table so we can have some water about halfway through the race, and then because I didn't consider it, we didn't have one, and got a lot of upset runners last year. And I said, it's my first time, forgive me. So.
And now there'll be a water table every 15 feet.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far because we don't have enough volunteers for that one, but we'll definitely have a water table.
And I guess it's time to talk about the 4th of July, because it's come up to it, and it is a big planning event. So can you talk to me about when you guys started planning for this 4th of July and some of the things that you have in store and how you hope to get them executed?
July 5th, 2024 is when I started planning. But yeah, honestly, I won't answer for Katie here, but I know we all do our different pieces of it. But I know Debbie, that's kind of an event she oversees and kind of delegates some things from there. So I know she's been planning it since last year, as far as like ordering the fireworks and making sure we have the vendors and making sure we have enough parking and the porta potties and the bathrooms and the place to wash your hands and everything. She takes care of the majority of that.
And what are some of the things that you're looking forward to about the 4th of July?
About 10:30 p.m. when we can go home, because that's a long day. I have to be in around 5:30 in the morning to start preparing for the race, which goes off at around 8. And then we get a little break in the middle of the day. Then we come back and run the games and things and the fireworks until about 10 o'clock at night. So it's a long day.
It's a very long day.
And how about you, Katie? What does your day look like on the 4th of July besides long?
Besides long, I enjoy, running the games. Our camp counselors run all of the games that we set out in the field, and I try to come up with new games every year. I'm currently ordering prizes for all the games, making sure we have enough glow sticks for the end of the night. There's a lot of people that come out for it, so it's not a guessing game of how many, it's a lot.
You've ever been stuck in that traffic after the fireworks, you'd know. It's a night.
Well, having lived by a beach all of my life, I rarely leave my house on the 4th of July.
There was one 4th of July not too long ago, a couple of years ago. We were the only fireworks around. The other fireworks that were on the beach in Ocean City actually blew up the night before or the day of. And so that year we had tons of people come to our location, more than not more than we normally have, but there was more that year because we were the only place that had fireworks.
Wow. And so how did you make any last minute adjustments for that, or did you just hope for the best?
No, we were all set. Yeah.
I guess that's what comes from having everything well planned out. If there's that you limit the effect that an emergency or a swell of people can have. If you're prepared and you have everything set to go, then if there are more people, you just do it longer or faster, but you don't have to do anything very different.
No, you don't. We've been doing this event for a long time, so we all know what to expect, and we know that it's going to be a long day and it's going to be an enjoyable day because we get to see a lot of familiar faces that day.
And huge shout out to our police department for dealing with the traffic on that day. And huge shout out to Public Works for helping us set up on that day. They do a lot of the setup for us as well.
Hey there, listeners. Are you in the Ocean Pines area and looking for a pharmacy that goes above and beyond? Look no further than Tidal Health Home Scripts. Open 6 days a week, our knowledgeable pharmacists are ready to fill your prescriptions in just minutes. Plus, we offer free home delivery in the Ocean Pines area and have a super convenient drive-through window. Need over-the-counter items? We've got a large selection. And with our monthly sales, you'll find everything you need at great prices. Conveniently located at the North Gate of Ocean Pines, Tidal Health Home Scripts is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. To fill a prescription or arrange for a free home delivery, give us a call at 410-543-4769. That's 410-543-4769. Remember, that's Tidal Health Home Scripts, your trusted pharmacy partner. Now, you both have kind of extensive experience with the summer camps, and when do they start?
They start the first or second week of June.
I believe it's June 16th.
Yes, and we are full. We'll have about 150 children in our building, give or take a few each week of the summer.
And when you say it's full, it's already too late to sign up then?
We filled up the first week that we started taking registration.
Wow, and how common is that? Does that happen every year?
Doesn't happen every year. We had a few spots open here and there, like for random weeks, but residents took over this year when it was time for them to sign up.
Tell me about your experience, some of your favorite experiences, because you guys have, like I said, you've both been doing it for a long time. What do you look forward to, and what are some of the things that you think the kids most benefit from in these programs? Because I also now recalling speaking with Debbie about it, it's something that she's very proud of as well.
I enjoy every part of summer camp. I'm actually in charge of planning the field trips for each week, so that's not a huge ordeal, but that's something fun that I enjoy, picking where the kids get to go, whether it's bowling, the movies, Jolly Rogers Splash Mountain. We go there a couple times a summer. So
laser tag, you can do a laser tag.
Yeah, laser tag.
I love that one.
How do you choose these, and do they tend to stay the same year after year, or do you add them?
A few of them stay the same every year just because I like staying loyal to the local businesses like Old Pro Golf and Jolly Rogers. And they treat us well because they know our campers are well behaved.
Right.
They know that our staff are well trained and have a good hold on the kids. So they enjoy having us just as much as we enjoy visiting their location.
And what are some of the new things is there anything new for this year or something recently added that you think you're going to continue to do?
Let me think. There's a fun week called Hollywood Week where they each make their own movie. And I know my daughter, that's her favorite week of camp. She's 12, so she's aging out of it this year. So this is her last year, and she's sad about that because it's a highlight of her, of her youth, going to summer camp every day. Hollywood Week is fun. They all make a movie. Everybody gets an acting part. We all watch the movies on Friday, have a Hollywood day where they walk the red carpet, and parents come and can watch the movies as well that day.
That's fantastic. And they have that's in the main center there.
Yes, in the gymnasium. It's a lot of work for the camp counselors too that week because they edit the videos in their spare time when they're not at the building.
Wow, that must be really difficult. I don't know. I mean, I edit video as part of my job, but to just be handed an 8-year-old's cell phone and say, make this into a movie, that must be a real challenge. Have you ever done any editing?
I haven't. No, I know our camp director and our assistant director, Haley and Jonathan. Great group to work with. She's been our director for the past 2 or 3 years now, but she started off as a camp counselor just as Jonathan did. Jonathan was actually one of my campers when I was a counselor, and he's now assistant director of the camp, but they help their counselors out a lot because they've been in their shoes before.
That is excellent. And so when I asked you that question, you said just camp. So is there another kid forward event besides Halloween that you really look forward to each year?
We have an Easter egg hunt that we put on for Easter out in Whitehorse Park, and we get a ton of people for that as well. It's a lot of fun to see everybody come out for that.
Kevin, I wanted to ask you a little bit about grown-up sports. I would like to tell you a personal story. So my father was an umpire when I was a kid. To make extra money, he would go out and he would umpire the men's softball leagues. He was getting a hard time one time, and one of the people in the stands looked over at me and he said, "Is that your father?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, at least we're not talking about your mother."
Yeah, there's never any bad problems out there. I have a great umpire out there, Matt Mayette. He's awesome. He helped me with the youth basketball program as well.
That's the only adult sport that I have any experience with. What are some of the other league? Do you do other league type stuff?
Yeah, we have our men's basketball league, which unfortunately we lost this year because we lost the gym floor. But that generally starts around January, and it's a fun group.
And do you have anything starting in this fall that you're looking forward to, or late in the summer?
Wow, a lot of things. I mean, the adult softball is going on right now, and that'll eventually end if the rain ever ends. And then we'll start up the fall league as well. I'm trying to start a new birding program. Try to start it in the spring. I've got Wayne Klockner and some wonderful ladies that are going to help me out here and run a birding program. So we're looking forward to getting that going in the fall.
That is absolutely fantastic. Just started. I wouldn't call it birding specifically because it is only backyard birding, but I downloaded a call app where you can listen to the call and then you'll see what the bird is. And I did it almost as a joke at first, and now I've become a mild addict. I used to kind of laugh at people who were like, "I'm too into birding," but now I'm on my way to being too into birding. So have you done any looking into it yourself? Do you know like how it's gonna go, how it's gonna look? Are these gonna be walking tours? What is that gonna be like, do you think?
I think the plan is to start with meet everybody at the community center class and kind of talk about the expectations. But then, yes, it would be kind of field trip type thing where they would go at this location to look for these birds one week and this location look for different birds another week kind of thing. And that's kind of the plan going forward. We're actually supposed to meet next week to kind of nail that down. So I'll get more information about that next week, but we're looking to start that sometime in the fall.
That is fascinating. I've actually even done stories on birding groups, and it's just a great way to spend like a Saturday afternoon or a Monday evening. Is just out. It's a good excuse to get out in nature and walk along and stretch your legs and all about that. And how about you, Katie? Is there anything that you have coming forward in the fall that you're looking forward to?
I have a group called Pep Club that meets each month. It's actually a club that we started up back again in November, I think, was our first meeting. But it's called People Enjoying People, and it's a great group of adults with mental disabilities. Some of the people from Worcester County Developmental Center come, and we have like a themed social once a month.
Oh, that is fantastic. And do you guys have your own Facebook page? How do people find out what's going on recreation-wise? It's in the newsletter, I guess.
Yeah, and Ocean Pines Recreation and Parks is on Facebook. That's our Facebook page.
Very cool. And we are kind of coming up toward the end of it, but I don't want to cut anybody short. Is there something that you wanted to talk about, or a question I should have asked you and didn't? Something you thought you'd get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it?
I'm excited about a fishing camp new that I'm doing this summer.
Oh!
The Anglers Club of Ocean Pines is actually going to help me do it the week of July 22nd through the 24th. We're hoping to get like 10, 15 campers out there and get them into fishing.
That is great because the Anglers Club, they do the fishing day is around then too, right?
Yeah, Teach a Kid to Fish Day. And then they have that weekend before our camp is when they stock the pond full of fish and they have their tournament, tournament.
So you'll have the leftover fish to still catch from
That is the plan.
That is very exciting. And are you already, by the middle of June when this comes out, people will be able to sign up for that probably, right?
Oh, yeah. They can start signing up already. I've sent a flyer out to all the schools in our county just this week with, that was one of the highlights on it was the fishing camp.
And that is all I have for you. unless you guys have anything else for me, Kevin, anybody?
Yeah, I want to clarify one thing. You do have to register for the fishing camp, but the Teach a Kid to Fish Day and the Art Hansen Memorial Fishing Derby, you don't have to sign up for. Just show up on the days. It's June 21st for Teach a Kid to Fish and July 19th for the Art Hansen Memorial Fishing Derby. I did have a couple things. We have a couple of bus trips coming up, and I know Katie's got a new one she's going to get, but I don't know if you have a date yet for the Commanders game.
Oh, for the Commanders, I'm shooting for June.
Whoa.
Oh, not June, excuse me. September against Las Vegas. So Sunday, 1:30 game.
The Raiders?
Raiders,
Okay.
yes.
And I have 2 bus trips coming up. I've got the Orioles-Phillies going to Philadelphia on August 6th for a businessman special, I think is what they call it. It's a Wednesday afternoon game. And then September 7th, which is a Sunday, I've got the Orioles playing at Camden Yards, and the Dodgers are in town. So that should be a pretty good game with all the talent the Dodgers have. Unfortunately, the Orioles are having a struggle this year. So there's a couple of bus trips we got coming up to look forward to.
The Commanders will not be struggling this year.
Yeah,
Just
but they will,
throwing that out there.
They will
You heard
lose
it here
they
first.
will lose to the Eagles, though. However, sorry, go Birds.
I actually don't have a fight in this race when people, fight in this race, a dog in this fight. When people ask me, if I watch football, I say, no, I am a Jets fan. I gave up football, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm so happy to have my Sundays back. I can't tell you.
I was going to say I feel bad for you because the Jets have had a long struggle.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm 54. I've seen 3 seasons worth watching, but that's for a different podcast. For right now, we're going to call it to an end. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you guys for sharing your stories, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Take care.
The Pines Cast is an Ocean Pines Association production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo, executive producer, Linda Martin. Please, if you have any feedback, send it to me. My email address is bytonyrusso@gmail.com. That is bytonyrusso@gmail.com. We're always taking suggestions. And as always, please subscribe to us wherever you're listening now. Just click where it says Pines Cast and click follow or subscribe, and you'll get notified when the show comes out. We'll see you next time on the Pines Cast.